Welcome to Let's Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. I would like to encourage everyone on my Facebook friends list, everyone in my social groups, and all of my listeners worldwide. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this video podcast with your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's free. Don't make this video podcast go viral by posting this link on your Facebook page, your Instagram page, and or on your Twitter page. This video podcast is available in three forms: audio, video, and as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. I created the grassroots community activist movement on November 10th, 1991 on a site called Gopher in order to connect with other like-minded Black people, African immigrants, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Latinos, and Afro-Caribbeans to discuss social issues in America and throughout the diaspora, as well as on the African continent. The movement's objective is to build a new Black movement / African movement by building our own cooperative enterprises within the African American community. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our interactive Black media component. We discuss controversial topics that you won't hear about from the mainstream media using an Afrocentric perspective. We are committed to reporting truthful and accurate news. We believe that now is the time for a comprehensive new strategy and a new movement for Black people / African people. I use this platform to interact with everyone on my friends list and everyone in my social groups by giving Black business owners free airtime to promote their products and services. I give people in the faith community an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. I give Black authors and ordinary law-abiding citizens an opportunity to share their special talents and skills to my listeners from around the globe. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcasts and YouTube channels to help them earn extra revenue. I also assist people on my friends list with creating basic websites, finding college scholarships, grants, housing, and legal services, all for free. After 15 years of being overlooked and rejected, I decided to write and publish my story, quote, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. It's available on Amazon. I talked it over with my publisher, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. They're affiliated with Amazon about lowering the price to make it affordable for everyone. Now, my book is available in two forms: an ebook that is $6.25, and the paperback for $6.25 plus shipping and handling. Ladies and gentlemen, I also created my virtual store in hopes of generating enough capital to jumpstart my Christian business for Chicago, which stands for the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. It takes capital to start a business, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit. Unfortunately, my revised book is barely selling, and items on my virtual store is barely selling. I have been paying out of pocket for the business title since 2010. As I explained to my listeners, it's not my burden alone. It takes a team to make a dream work. Black America has rejected my vision and plan for 31 years. This is why I'm reaching out to the Black grassroots and the global African family. My film project is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group before I cut and run to Africa. At this time, all I can do is news commentary because I refuse to just sit back and twiddle my thumbs. We host our virtual conference every last Saturday of the month until we are able to raise the capital to fund our film project. Our film project is entitled Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, The War Against Willie Lynch Begins. This is a solution-based docudrama which is based on my experience growing up in the inner cities of Chicago. It's also based on my revised book. And the purpose why I created Recount. This is our Black Panther moment, except it's not owned by Disney. It's owned by us. And when I say us, that is the grassroots community activist movement members. We want to get this film in front of 500 million people worldwide. We will offer a 21st century solution for both domestically within the United States of America and throughout the diaspora. Recam is my gift to Black millennials, Generation Z, and my group members. It's my hope that we can eventually create our own Black film industry, Black hair product industry, and sporting industry. I created a GoFundMe page last April 2022 as a crowdfunding source so that everyone on my Facebook friends list and everyone in my social groups would know exactly where the funds for our film project would end up. This is also to indicate our progress in getting this film fully funded and made. Out of 1,683 people that's on my Facebook friends list, only 5 people have donated to our film project on our GoFundMe page. Then you wonder why our community remains jacked up. All I have is my revised book, my virtual store, my online groups, and this platform. I recommend that if you are serious about working with me and Sister Renee and turning my vision and plan for Black America and Africa, then first purchase my revised book and read my story for yourself. If you agree with what I'm trying to do, then make arrangements with me to come on this podcast so that we can talk about it. Send me a message to my Facebook inbox. I'm using this technology to broadcast my vision and plan to those who will listen. It's my hope that the African immigrant community within the United States of America would come forth and work with me first in getting this film project fully funded and made so that we can build Grecaio Chicago together and make our presence known within the African American community starting in Chicago. And once that happens, then we will replicate Grecaio by going to visit 10 African nations. And in each African nation, we're going to set up a chapter. Grecaio Chicago's mission is to help eradicate urban violence in Chicago through arts, culture, commerce, spiritual development, and hosting African tours. We plan on visiting 10 African nations. They are as follows: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. I want to bring the best of the diaspora to each African nation so that we can set up local chapters and do international trade among our people. We aim to reconnect Black entrepreneurs with African entrepreneurs, Black artists with African artists. In this Christian business, our objective is to heal from enslavement and colonization. Since Black America and Black Chicago has overlooked and rejected my vision and plan for the past 31 years, my Christian business will be membership based. I am only responsible for my members. Those who are not part of us, we will pray for them, we will show them tough love, and we will keep it moving. Our hashtag, not another 31 years. Upcoming events, GCAM, Black Authors and Black Entrepreneurs Affair 2023. Attention Black authors and Black entrepreneurs on my Facebook friends list and in my social groups. If you are serious about coming on my platform to promote your book or business, then make arrangements with me so that we can practice using StreamYard. I would like to have 10 people on the show for each of the following days below. Mark your calendar for Thursday, August 3rd, Friday, August 4th, Saturday, August 5th, Thursday, August 10th, Friday, August 11th, Saturday, August 12th, Thursday, August 17th, Friday, August 18th, Saturday, August 19th, Thursday, August 24th, Friday, August 25th. The objective is to give Black authors and Black entrepreneurs on my Facebook friends list and in my social groups an opportunity to come on this platform and promote their books and business to my listeners from around the globe. For Black authors to help improve literacy rate in the African American community. The grassroots community activist movement is committed to supporting Black authors by providing them a space where their work can be acknowledged, celebrated, and their income stimulated. On the business side, we want to connect the African American consumers with small Black business owners so that they can showcase their products and service before the African American consumers from across the United States of America. Please mark your calendar for our next GCAM virtual conference, Saturday, August 26, 2023. I am encouraging all of my Christian group members and Light of the World Inspirational Group and Christian Spoken Word Network to stand up and for at least 8 people to be on our panel. You must make arrangements with me to practice using StreamYard so that we can do a professional show. Theme, minding our own Black business, a Nehemiah moment. Where? Facebook Live /StreamYard. Time, 2 p.m. through 3 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. Instructions on how to participate on the show. First, watch my video podcast. This is called Side A. After I finish my presentation, then I will open up the phone lines through Facebook Messenger. This is called Side B. You can interact with me in real time either by voice call by clicking on the phone icon or by video call by clicking on the camera icon. Today's topic of discussion is as follows. My thoughts about the Montgomery, Alabama Riverboat Brawl video. Asylum seeker crisis in Chicago and New York City. Macron warns African nations France will protect its interests. Our first topic, my thoughts about the Montgomery, Alabama Riverfront Brawl video. Today we're going to talk about what happened in Montgomery, Alabama. I am not going to show any video footage on Facebook or YouTube, but if you subscribe to my Medium page, you will have access to my actual speech, which I provide receipts. That is my sources, from articles to videos. I don't have my own website because I am on a shoestring budget. But if people on my Facebook friends list, which is 1,718 people in my social groups, and my listeners from around the globe would help get my revised book on that bestsellers list, purchase items from our virtual store, and donate to our film project on our GoFundMe page, then I would be in a better position financially to hire a professional website designer, purchase property in Chicago, buy office equipment, and hire African immigrants as well as qualified Black middle class professionals. On this platform, our objective is to inform, inspire our listeners to speak things into existence and build from there. Anyhow, how many of you have seen the Montgomery, Alabama Riverboat Brawl? Many people are talking about it because they want to get ratings and views. The mainstream media has been focusing on Ukraine and Russia. The video went viral, and of course, we're not going to show it over here because only certain people are allowed to show the video. That is why it is important that we work together to build our own things. I am going to give some historical facts which led to the fight. According to slavery in America, the Montgomery slave trade in 1808, the United States Congress banned the import of slaves from Africa. At the same time, the high price of cotton and the development of the cotton gin caused the demand for slave labor. The domestic slave trade grew to meet this demand. Over the next 50 years, slave traders forcefully transferred hundreds of thousands of enslaved people from the upper South to Alabama and the lower South. Between 1808 and 1860, the enslaved population of Alabama grew from less than 40,000 to more than 435,000. Alabama had one of the largest slave plantations in America at the start of the Civil War. Slave transportation to Montgomery in order to meet the high demands for slaves in Alabama in the early 1800s. The slave traders chained African Americans together in coffs and forced them to march hundreds of miles from the upper South to the lower South, including Montgomery. The overland transportation of enslaved people by foot was slow and expensive. By the 1840s, slave traders began to take advantage of the two new modes of transportation: the steamboat and the railroad. Steamboats carried slaves from Mobile and New Orleans up the Alabama River to Montgomery. Rail routes construct with slave labor connect Montgomery train station to West Point, Georgia, and lines extended to the upper South. Hundreds of enslaved people began arriving by rail and by boat each day in Montgomery, turning the city into a principal slave trading center in Alabama. Enslaved people who arrived at the Riverfront or at the train station were paraded up Commerce Street to be sold in the city's slave markets. Montgomery had grown into one of the most prominent slave trading communities in Alabama by 1860. At the start of the Civil War, the city had a, a larger slave population than Mobile, New Orleans, or Natchez, Mississippi. Montgomery attracted a growing number of major slave traders whose presence dominated the city's geographic and economy. The Montgomery Probate Office granted at least 164 offices were located primarily along Commerce Street and Market Street. Over time, Montgomery became one of the most important and conspicuous slave trading communities in the United States. After the Alabama legislation banned free black people from residing in the state in 1833, enslavement was the only legally authorized status for African Americans in Alabama. So they said no free black people could be in Alabama. The only black people who were allowed was those who were enslaved. This is the history that these politicians want to whitewash from the history books. So when we see these brothers and sisters step into the white supremacists, that's just the rage of the ancestors. Look what happened when they don't have the gun. We need to be angry about the way we're being treated in America. We should be angry about how our ancestors were forced to work to death only to benefit those who held the gun and the whip. You can't just get along with people who had a historical beef with. Although our ancestors and slave owners are deceased, the same people who are in power today are the descendants of former slave owners, which are the white supremacist financial elites. The white supremacist financial elites have the nerve to tell us to get over slavery. Notice they don't tell the Jews to get over the Holocaust. We can learn a lot from them. They practice group economics. My revised book has been on Amazon now for 11 years and still barely selling. Items on my virtual store are also barely selling because this is spiritual warfare at its best. I have a Nehemiah assignment. I am trying to build something productive for our people before I cut and run to Africa. The Kind of Chicago would focus on improving black families that want more out of life. Over here, we will raise the bar and set the new norm in black society. Through the business, we will offer rewards and consequences to those who are harming our members or disrespecting our group. But we must build it first. When we talk about the wealth gap that occurred because of American slavery, the slaves were used for free labor to enrich those lazy slave owners, which gave rise to generational wealth that was passed down to their descendants. The only thing that can rewrite the wrongs is through reparation for descendants of American slaves. If these politicians want our vote, then they need to pass lineage-based cash payment reparations. Today in America, we have 4 people who have survived the Black Wall Street massacre, and they still have not received reparations. This is what we are up against, a system that is designed to be anti-black. Getting back to the video, the brother was a captain of a riverboat. All he did was ask them to move their boat. Instead of them complying to the captain's request, 8 white individuals decided to jump him in broad daylight. When black people saw what was happening, their ancestral anger rose up to defend this brother. This is the foolishness of white supremacy. We have a responsibility to protect and provide for our own economically, socially, and spiritually. We saw the Democrat Party give all these other groups resources and even non-citizens, but nothing for us. One of the greatest mistakes that black people made was to believe in this political system, to think that you can vote your way out of this mess. Everything that we did it through using grassroots tactics. In the Willie Lynch letter, it said we got to keep them dependent on us. We shouldn't depend on Democrats or Republicans. We should depend on God, family, and the community, not a group of people who are the descendants of slave owners. Shout out to those brothers and sisters putting in work. What this video shows is that black Americans in the South are more on code with each other than black Americans in the North. For example, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, George Floyd was murdered in broad daylight by a road cop. No one intervened. The crowd just stood around video recording the incident. As I mentioned in my revised book, I was a victim too of white supremacy. My associates were showing me around the neighborhood. We saw 3 white individuals. One of my associates knew one of the individuals and said, "What's up, Vince?" The person called him the N-word, and they began walking towards us. When I looked around, my associates ran up the street and left me. They started swinging on me, so I started swinging back. I believe one of them were in their late 20s. I fought for about 15 to 20 minutes. I was blessed to have survived my encounter. One of my other associates told me to leave it alone because Vince's father was a police officer. In Salem, Alabama, George Lewis made it his claim to fame, good trouble. Now it's time to play it safe, because the white supremacists who are part of the law enforcement want revenge. The reason why black people have disengaged from the political process is because our elected politicians have not served our interests, because they are in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. In contrast, in South Africa, Julius Malema is preparing to run for president of South Africa. He plans to redistribute the land from Afrikaners back to black South Africans without compensation. Notice, group economics keep popping up. We have to have a mindset change if we want to solve our social problems here in America and solve our global problems in Africa, the Caribbean, and in Brazil. Please leave a public comment on my YouTube page about the topic. Most of all, share this video podcast with your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. The second topic, asylum seekers crisis in Chicago and New York City. Cities across the U.S. have been bracing for an influx of migrants, but many from coast to coast are finding they don't have the resources to handle the demand. In Chicago's South Shore neighborhoods are pushing back against the city's plan to house several hundred migrants at the former South Shore High School. Joe Biden said his 2 top priorities are LGBT rights and immigration during his political campaign in 2020. Black voters, you all have voted for this. This is what's happening in every sanctuary city. Ice Cube tried to warn Black America. He said we need to talk with both political parties to see what tangibles we can get for our black vote. Black America told him to shut up. I also warned Black Chicagoans, if we don't demand something for our vote, then we're just voting for nothing. The sad thing about this is black black people are the largest homeless population in Chicago. All of the African American community wanted was to get rid of the orange man. You did you didn't want anything for your vote. Therefore, that $150 million will go toward funding the illegal immigrants. Black Chicagoans are focusing on resources, not race. Many of those immigrants are coming from Venezuela and Colombia. Many of them are Afro Latino. Venezuela population is 68% Afro Latino. Chicago is divided into 77 neighborhoods by social class and race. The white supremacist financial elites are only dropping the immigrants into the African American community. We're already fighting over resources that are not being shared with us. The root problem to all of these social conditions is colonial imperialist policy. In contrast, asylum seekers crisis in New York City, there are 93,000 illegal immigrants that have arrived in New York City, according to Fox 5 News. If migrants cannot find housing after 60 days, then they must reply and wait for another spot. It sounds just like what Governor Greg Abbott has been saying. We don't have room for any more people. Why Mayor Adams and others are not supporting this at the border? Notice where they are sending them. They are not sending them to the financial district, but rather to Harlem, black neighborhoods. According to CBS News, there are 55,000 asylum seekers are being housed in New York City, yet there is no housing for the residents of New York City. The white supremacist financial elites are pushing black Americans out of the cities. You will never hear this on the Breakfast Club or from Roland Martin. Notice what the Democrats are doing. They want the black vote to help them pass laws for immigration, which is a non-black American issue. The Democrats advocate abortion rights for us and DACA for illegal immigrants. They want to disenfranchise us. I'm doing my part by putting the information out there to my listeners. It's your job to share this information that will help create a national conversation. Please leave a public comment on my YouTube page about the topic. Most of all, share this video podcast with your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. The third topic, Macron warned African nations, France will protect its interests. The Western world is living off the resources from Africa. The American government has destabilized 11 African governments. Global white supremacy is coming to a head with the rest of the world. For example, BRICS is a grouping of the world economies of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They're trying to create their own currency to stand against the American dollar. I've been telling Black America for 31 years, let's pull our resources together and build Grecaio Chicago while we still have time, because once 2050 hits, then it's game over for Black America. Our tax dollars are being used to pay for white supremacist rhetoric. For example, on Twitter, Elon Musk posted, quote, if you were unfairly treated by your employer due to postings or liking something on this platform, we will fund your legal bill, unquote. He received 89.6 million reviews. You have to fund something if you want it to work. White supremacy put their money where their mouth is. They want power to make money and money to protect their power. The American government has given him close to $5 billion for his company Tesla Motors, SpaceX, and Solar City. Let me keep it a buck. We need black people, African people, and others to support what we're trying to do in Black Chicago. These crooked politicians have access to multi-millions of dollars to run for public office. Elon Musk is seeing all the progress black people are doing on black Twitter, getting these white supremacists fired from their jobs. What his statement is saying is he's going to use his money to stop black people from punishing white supremacy. Niger is rising up against France. On this platform, we discuss geopolitical news and our significant relationship throughout the diaspora. There's a spiritual energy that's being unleashed around the globe. Please leave a public comment on my YouTube page about the topic. Most of all, share this video podcast with your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. This will conclude our show for today. Thank you all for listening. Again, please share it with all your friends because I want you all to help put me on blast. Help make this video podcast go viral. Do what you can in order to support what we're doing over here on this platform in terms of trying to move this Christian business from behind a computer and trying to take our story to the big screen first and foremost. And from there, once the proceeds starts pouring in from the film project, then we're going to make our presence known here in the city of Chicago. Starting on the west side of Chicago, we're going to cover Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale, as well as expand to the south side of Chicago and make our presence known there. Our goal, again, is to connect with African immigrants here in the United States, specifically those that's here in Chicago and in the surrounding suburbs, for you all to come forth, especially those 10 African nations that I mentioned earlier, to come forth and help me build this thing, because we're going to come to your country when we do our African tours, and we want you to come with us to be our guide, to show us some, I would say, different tourist attractions there. We also want to do business. We want to connect with people from my African group, Gakai of Africa. So Gakai of Africa, group members, I need you all to come on and step up. Come on this show. And again, all of you that's able, please purchase my revised book. I would say the ebook for, I believe it's $6.25. You can download it on your smartphone. Read my story for yourself. If you agree, I would like to hear from you. Make arrangements with me so you can come on the show and we can talk about that and get other people involved. That's going to help get the ball rolling. And that's the whole reason why I created this platform, to broadcast my vision and plan. So that way I don't have to be doing this another 31 years. With that being said, peace and blessings.